Good day. When you are young, life does not teach you to be honest, it teaches you to survive. And survival often comes with a silent contract. A few lies are necessary to keep peace, to be liked, to be safe. I remember a boy named Michael. He grew up in a small town. His family had little, and he learned quickly that the world does not hand out fairness. Every morning he put on a smile that was heavier than his lunchbox, and he told everyone he was fine, even when hunger and fear whispered differently inside him. That was his first lie. The lie of survival. We all carry these early lies. They are small, they feel harmless, and everyone calls them politeness or keeping the peace, pretending you understand when you don't, saying I'm okay when you're broken, hiding the tears that fall on lonely nights. These lies teach you to hide pieces of yourself, and for a while that is necessary. The world is often too cruel to meet raw honesty with kindness. But here's the thing. Every lie, no matter how small, leaves a shadow. It teaches your soul to bend. The boy Michael, as he grew, carried his first lie into school. He never admitted when he felt left out. He never asked for help when the teacher's words were confusing. He feared judgment more than he craved truth. And here begins the pattern. Survival through lies becomes habit. Some lies are even celebrated in youth. They tell us to pretend, to boast, to embellish, make yourself sound better. They say, no one will notice if you exaggerate a little. I knew a girl named Grace. She was brilliant, but she constantly told small lies about her accomplishments, afraid that if she revealed the truth, no one would value her. By the time she reached adulthood, she was trapped in a world of exaggerations she couldn't untangle. She learned the cost too late. She could no longer trust her own words, and neither could anyone else. The first lesson I want you to hear, lies taught to protect you when young eventually demand a price when you are older. And then there are the lies we learn to avoid conflict. I watched a man named Daniel navigate his family as the eldest child. Every disagreement in his home became a negotiation. He learned quickly that honesty could bring punishment, disappointment, or shame. So he began saying what people wanted to hear. He nodded when he disagreed, smiled when he wanted to cry, and stayed quiet when he wanted to speak. At the time, it seemed wise, but each unspoken word, each concession of truth, planted seeds of emptiness. By his 30s, Daniel could no longer remember what he truly wanted. His dreams were masked by what he thought others expected from him. This is how lies grow slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. They teach you to compromise yourself for the comfort of others. They teach you that your voice is optional, that your feelings are secondary, and in youth, this feels safe, but safety is often the thief of fulfillment. Now, my child, let me tell you about the lies we tell ourselves. These are the most dangerous. When you are young, you are told to follow the rules and fit in. And sometimes these rules ask you to suppress who you are. You tell yourself, I'm just not good at that. I don't deserve happiness yet. I'll be someone else so they will accept me. These lies wrap around the mind like chains disguised as protection. I remember a woman named Sophia. She was a painter, born with a love for color and expression, but her father told her, art will not feed you. Be practical. She told herself she would wait to follow her passion. Promising it a future that never came, she built a corporate career, and every day her brushes gathered dust. The lie, she told herself, the lie that practicality was more important than joy, stayed with her for decades. By the time she realized her body was capable, but her spirit had been conditioned to doubt its own cravings. These early lies, small, polite, protective, are the foundation for larger ones later in life. You will notice this as you grow. The older we get, the more obvious the cost of lies becomes. Lies that once protected our tender hearts now restrict our freedom. limit our growth, and poison our relationships. Some lies are in the workplace, some are in the family, some live in love, some live in your own mind, and all of them share a common trait. They demand more lies to survive themselves. I want you to think about this carefully. Every lie you tell, no matter how small, sets a precedent. It is a contract with your future self. I will lie now, and I will lie again to cover it later. And over time, your life becomes a web of untruths, some harmless, some deadly. The boy Michael never imagined that his small lie of, I am fine, would evolve into a pattern of self-denial. The girl, Grace, never thought her white lies about her achievements would erode her own confidence. The painter Sophia never imagined that postponing joy for practicality would leave decades of her life silent. And this is why I say the older you get, the fewer lies you can live with. Because eventually lies start to demand a price you cannot pay with charm, patience, or endurance. They demand your peace, your love, your dreams, your trust in yourself. Even in youth, the first warning signs appear: sleepless nights, vague anxiety, a voice inside whispering, this is not right. And if ignored, that whisper becomes a scream you cannot silence. Do you see, my child? Life is patient, but it is also honest. If you choose lies as protection, early one day you will see the toll they have taken in your relationships, your career, your health, your spirit. I do not say this to frighten you. I say it to awaken you, to teach you that truth, as uncomfortable as it may feel, is the path to freedom. I knew a man named Jonathan. He had spent 20 years working in a career he did not love, marrying a partner he had chosen because he felt it was expected, living in a house he tolerated because it was convenient. Every decision was a compromise with lies, lies to himself, lies to others, lies to survive. One morning he woke up exhausted, staring at the ceiling, and for the first time in decades, he asked himself a question: what have I really lived for? That question is the awakening. That question is the first step toward a life where lies cannot survive. That question begins the journey toward living honestly, fully, and with clarity. And my child, that is the journey we are walking together. Sit with us tonight. Think of your own Michael's, Grace's, Sophia's, Jonathan's. Think of the small lies you have told yourself to survive, to belong, to be safe. Observe them without shame. Observe them as teachers who now guide you to truth. The lies we accept to belong. As we grow older, we begin to notice something subtle. The world rewards compliance more than courage. It teaches us, often without saying a word, that to belong, we must sometimes fold ourselves into shapes we were not born to. I want you to hear this slowly. The cost of this is subtle at first, but it compounds over time. It creeps into your mind and spirit before you even realize it. I remember a young man named David. He was smart, creative, and bold, but every time he raised an idea at work, he felt the subtle weight of expectation pressing him down. Be polite, don't rock the boat, fit in. So he started nodding more than speaking, smiling more than disagreeing, laughing at jokes he didn't find funny. By the time he reached 30, David could no longer remember his original voice. His laughter had become a habit rather than joy. His creativity a memory rather than action. His heart trained to wait for permission to be alive. David's story is not unique. I've seen it hundreds of times. People accept lies because they are easier than conflict. They conform to the expectations of bosses, parents, peers, and lovers. They take the path of least resistance because the alternative, the path of truth, is lonely and sometimes dangerous. But here's what happens. The more you bend to belong, the more your inner truth gets lost, and eventually the cost is your very sense of self. Living for approval. Let me tell you about a woman named Laura. She grew up in a family where excellence was demanded, not celebrated. To gain acceptance, she pretended to be someone she was not. She smiled when she wanted to cry, agreed when she wanted to argue, and pursued careers she didn't love because it would make her parents proud. For years, she believed she was living her life for others, and she was so completely that when she finally reached her mid-30s, she had to ask herself a question that terrified her. Who am I if I remove everything I did to please them? Her health had begun to fail. She felt empty inside. Her relationships were strained because she never showed the real Laura, and worst of all, she had forgotten what it felt like to simply be her own person. This is the cost of accepting lies to belong. Your life can look full, but your spirit feels hollow. The lies we use to protect our image. I also want you to understand the lies we tell to protect our image. I knew a man named Mark, brilliant, kind, generous, but burdened by fear. Every day he wore a mask of confidence and control. Behind the scenes, he was drowning debts he never spoke of, anxieties he hid, mistakes he carried silently. When people praised his success, he bowed and smiled. Inside, he was exhausted, isolated, and afraid. The danger here is this. The older you get, the harder it becomes to maintain the facade. Life begins to strip away pretenses. Cracks appear in relationships, in health, in career, and when your life is built on lies for belonging, everything you worked for can begin to feel like a prison. The lies we accept in love, even more dangerous, are the lies we accept in love. A woman named Emily stayed in a relationship that diminished her. She told herself it was compromise and part of love. She ignored red flags, silenced her instincts, and forgave repeated disappointments. She did this not because she lacked wisdom, but because she wanted to belong to someone, to a story, to an identity she felt she could not have alone. By the time she left, it was not easy. She carried years of emotional debt, self-doubt, and shame, but the moment she walked away, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, her own power returning. My child, hear this clearly. Belonging is not worth the price of your truth. True belonging does not ask you to lie about who you are. It does not demand you swallow your voice. It does not punish you for showing your scars when the mask becomes too heavy. And there is another truth people rarely acknowledge. The older you get, the more obvious these lies become. A teenager can survive a lie for the sake of friends. A young adult can survive it for career advancement. But as you mature, life becomes less forgiving. The mask becomes heavy. The false smiles feel hollow. The compromises you made in your 20s become chains in your 30s and 40s. So let me speak to your heart clearly. Question every habit that forces you to silence your voice. Examine every relationship where you must be less to be accepted. Notice every environment that demands you pretend to survive. These are not failures. They are warnings, the moment that changes everything. I met a man named Robert. He had spent 40 years living through lies. At work, in family, in marriage, he was respected, admired, and successful by all visible standards, but inside he was exhausted. He no longer knew what he wanted. One morning, after a night of restless sleep, he asked himself a single question. If I die tomorrow, would I be proud of the life I lived? That question broke him, and it also freed him. Robert began to speak honestly for the first time in decades. He admitted mistakes, expressed desires, asked for help, walked away from environments that diminished him. He rebuilt slowly, painfully, honestly. He was older, but finally alive when lies begin to hurt the body and mind. As we grow older, my dear, the lies we live begin to take a physical toll. At first, it is subtle, a headache, sleepless nights, a tight chest, a quiet anxiety. I remember a man named Thomas. He had spent decades saying yes when he wanted to say no, By 42, his body began to speak for him. Chest tightness, restlessness, exhaustion. The body never lies. When the soul is ignored long enough, the body rebels. The body remembers everything. Then there was Rachel. She smiled through exhaustion, carried expectations that were not hers, and lived for approval. By her late 30s, her energy was gone. Joy felt temporary. Life felt heavy. This is the cost of lying to yourself. You can deceive others, but never your body. The breaking point, I also knew Daniel. He lived a respectable life that felt empty. By 40, anxiety and insomnia followed him everywhere. One evening, he whispered to himself, I'm tired of pretending. That admission became the beginning of healing, the hope hidden in truth. There is hope, my dear. The moment you choose honesty, even quietly, healing begins. Each truthful decision restores strength. Each honest boundary returns energy. Each courageous step rebuilds clarity. I want you to imagine a man named Andrew. After 20 years of living by others' rules, he admitted one truth. He was unhappy. That single admission changed everything. Do not wait for your body to break before you listen. Do not wait for bitterness to harden your heart. Do not wait for regret to speak louder than courage. Begin now, begin with one honest thought, one honest conversation, one honest decision. You do not need to dismantle your entire life in a day. You only need to stop lying to yourself. If these words spoke to something deep inside you, stay close, subscribe, and stay tuned. There are more conversations ahead, drawn from lived experience, spoken with care, and meant to guide you gently toward a life of truth, peace, and purpose. Walk slowly, choose honestly, and live fully.